shall not cease from exploration. When we are done exploring, we will return to where we started and know the place for the first time. That's an excerpt from a T.S. Eliot poem called Little Gidding. And honestly, I don't know if I've ever read that whole poem. I looked it up online when I was preparing this speech. It's quite a bit longer than anything that I might have read at the time. I have hazy memories of a grade school project in which we had to find a quote that inspired us and resonated with us and develop a paper around it. So I think that's where I came across that quote. And I think the reason that it stuck with me over the years, decades really since then, is that there are two key aspects to it. One is exploration, and the other is self-understanding. So what do I mean by exploration? When you think of an explorer, the first thing that probably comes to your mind, I know it does for me, is the classic explorer that sets off over the horizon to find some new vista, some new land. Christopher Columbus sailing across the ocean to find new land. The jungle explorer wearing the pith helmet pushing through the rainforest to find something new. And yeah, that's one kind of explorer. But I would say that there are many different kinds of explorers, many different kinds of exploration. I would say that an athlete is an explorer. When an athlete does their thing, what they're doing is they're exploring the boundaries of their own physical capabilities, the capabilities of the human body. They're pushing the boundaries of what we can do as a person. I would say that an artist is also an explorer. When an artist exercises their art in the world, what they're doing is they're pushing boundaries of what it means to express yourself, different means and methods. They're exploring themes that haven't really been explored before. Also, I would say scientists are explorers. That one's a little bit more obvious to me, at least. That scientists are pushing back the horizon of what humanity knows about the universe and the way that it works. So, when I was preparing for this speech, it dawned on me that it's a little bit ironic, I think, or it could be considered ironic, that I'm giving a speech about exploration and pushing boundaries in a company like Jacobs, in an industry like ours that some people might say is pretty conservative. We tend to shy away from the cutting edge technology. And I thought about it a little bit more, and I realized that it's because our industry, and therefore our company, Jacobs, values safety and predictability above all else. We're not out there to get the most cutting edge solution to a problem. We're out there to get the safest and the most predictable solution. That's what our clients value, and therefore that's what Jacobs values. So as I thought about that, I realized it's the values that you hold inside yourself. It's what makes you as a person that determines the direction of your exploration. Not everybody is an explorer going out there and exploring, but we're all, in the physical sense, but we're all explorers in our own way. And the direction that you explore and develop is determined by your inner values. So those four archetypes that I talked about earlier, I think the traditional explorer, the person that sets off over the horizon to find new lands, what they're doing really is when they crest that hill and they see that beautiful new vista with snow-capped mountains, I think they're growing a little bit inside as a person. They see that new vista and their sense of self swells a little bit to encompass a little bit more of the world. Similarly, the athlete, yeah, physically what they're doing is they're pushing their body to do new and amazing things. But I think what they get out of it really is the sense of accomplishment and the sense of knowing that, yeah, I put in the hard work, I pushed myself emotionally and physically, and I was able to achieve that thing. It's really an internal development, not an external development. An artist. I am by no means an artist, don't mistake that, but I think what artists get out of their external expression of their art is they are developing their personal aesthetic, what they find beautiful. I think all artists, as they build something out there, what they're really doing is, you know that saying, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. They step back and look at what they created, and they're kind of using that as a means to develop their own internal sense of what is beautiful. And finally, the one that I resonate most with, the scientist. I think what the scientist is doing when they're learning new things about the world and expanding the boundaries of what we know as a species. Really what they're doing personally, that personal journey for them, is understanding more about the world such that they can find their place in it. It's very much still a personal thing, even though it's a very outward-facing profession. So that's all a lot of highfalutin ideas, and that's great and all, but what does that mean to you? What does that mean to me? For me, as I said, I identify a little bit more with that scientist archetype. I'm sure there are plenty more out there. Those are the four that I kind of came up with in the last day when I was preparing the speech. And that, for me, is the aha moment. I grew up reading a lot of science fiction. I don't know how many of you saw those beautiful bio posters out there, but ever since I was probably a young teen, I was very much into reading science fiction, like the hard science fiction that's actually based in science, and you can learn a little bit about the world as you read it. And I was lucky enough to have a stepfather that had, I don't exaggerate when I call it a library. He had a wall, not as big as this wall, but his entire living room wall was lined with bookshelves. And those entire bookshelves, floor to ceiling, were 2 stacks deep of science fiction books. And the real, meaty, pithy science fiction books. Probably something that, a young teen shouldn't be reading, but I read them anyway. And I would voraciously read those things. I would check them out just like a library. I wouldn't always necessarily check them back in. He kind of got on my case a little bit about that. I would check them out, and I would read probably one of those a week. I don't have enough time to read like that anymore. I wish I did. But what I do now is I listen to podcasts. And again, it's those podcasts that really explore the world and find little interesting facets and facts about the world that allow you to discover a little bit more. And the flip side of that, that's the external side that I was talking about. The internal side, that personal development, I think what I do is, again, if you read the bio, my ideal day is going camping, spending the day outside, and then ending up the day sitting staring at a campfire with a beer in hand, not really doing much of anything, just kind of like a zen-like state. And I think what I'm doing during those times, I hope at least, is subconsciously I'm allowing all that information that I take in like a sponge as that scientist, and allowing it to kind of percolate down into my being and kind of figure out where I fit in that world that I'm learning about. So, what does that mean to you, though? I think that I've come up with this kind of idea of how we grow as a person. It's that seesaw between you identify something inside yourself that kind of defines who you are. You use that to set a direction of exploration and development. You go out there and push the boundaries of that, whatever that is, if you're the artist, if you're the scientist. And then when you learn something new, you have to close that loop. You have to take that, bring it inside you, and understand how that changes you as a person, how that changes what you find here. And it's a cycle. So I would encourage all of you to really spend some time thinking about that. I think it starts by an inward look, finding what's important to you. Pick a direction based on that. If you're an artist, go be an artist. If you're a scientist, be a scientist. You don't actually have to be a scientist, but explore the world, find new things. And then turn that circle fully around and figure out what that changes about you. Because I feel like all true personal growth is a result of that cycle. You start internally, and then you explore. And at the end of our exploration, we will find ourselves back where we started and know the place for the first time.